Philly! Welcome in, one and all, to another edition of The Future is Female. I'm your host, Gabrielle Ducharme, joined here, as always, by my legendary co-host, Nicole Pinter. And this week, y'all, the reason I say Philly is because we got a special guest. You want to introduce yourself to The Future is Female?
Sure. Hi, my name is Grace Del Pizzo. I'm a freshman sports journalism major here at Cronkite, and I hail from Philadelphia.
Okay, it sounds like you were introducing yourself to Al Roker there on a must-see Monday, but
I've had enough practice with introducing myself at this point. I can rattle it off pretty well.
Philly Grace, I think that's what I'm going to call you. Welcome to the show. We're excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're gonna break down a bunch of Philadelphia stuff. If you don't follow Grace Del Pizzo on Twitter, Grace, what's your username on Twitter?
My Twitter is literally just Grace Del Pizzo.
Okay. Be sure to hit her up with a follow if you love Philly sports as much as she does. Because you'll definitely... I've gotten an inside look into what it's like to be a Philly sports fan. It looks kind of painful.
It is, yeah.
Anyways, we got a lot to rip into today on the show, y'all. We're going to break down some March Madness, because all of our brackets are pretty much donezo, except for Nicole's women's one. And then we're going to break down all things Philly sports. Then we're going to rip into some NCAA women's swimming. And yes, we will be discussing Leah Thomas. No, that's not the only thing we will be discussing, because it was an entire competition, y'all. And so we're going to rip into all parts of that as well. And then, of course, we're going to do my favorite segment on this show. We're going to do Future Fantasies. But yeah, let's get started, first of all, with men's basketball March Madness. Grace, how bad is your bracket right now?
Oh, my God. My men's bracket's actually doing okay, if I'm honest with you. Well, that's just because I had Kentucky going out in the round of 32.
Well, all right, then. You weren't dumb like I was. Nicole, what about you? How's your men's bracket looking?
Men's bracket, not great. They're all below 30%.
All right.
So yeah.
Well, on the men's side, of course, we got a lot of upsets to get into. Cinderella team, St. Peter's, number 15 seed. Well, 15 is going to the Sweet 16, y'all. 15 is going to the Sweet 16. Did anybody pull a Sean DePaz? He works for PHNX Sports. He had Kentucky winning it all in the national championship. Anybody have Kentucky winning it all?
I didn't. Nobody in my groups did, I think.
All right.
I did not either.
A couple had them going pretty far, though.
All right. Yeah, I had him going pretty far as well. So kudos to St. Peter's. I saw a statistic today on LinkedIn that St. Peter's has racked in over $60 million in revenue.
Wow.
Or in funding just by winning 2 basketball games in the NCAA tournament.
I mean, it's a small school. It's literally a block in Jersey City that no one knew about before this week. And you're going to get to some of the more upsets that happened this week, Gabby. But I think the state of Kentucky is going to file a restraining order against New Jersey. Is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, basically, St. Peter's, obviously, they beat Kentucky, and then they went on to beat Murray State. Grace, where did you have Murray State again in this tournament?
I had 7 seed Murray State going to the Final Four. Because listen, I don't know much about men's college basketball. I'll be the first to admit it. I looked at the stats. I looked at their record, their points per game. I thought, yeah, sure, it's March. Why not? It just turns out that I picked the wrong Cinderella team, you know? But honestly, if they were going to lose, at least it was to a 15 seed. Because my bracket may be busted, but it's worth it. It's worth it at that point.
It's always worth it for a Cinderella.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
100% it's always worth it for a Cinderella. So St. Peter's will move on to face number 3 Purdue on Friday. Also on men's basketball side, 12 seed New Mexico State defeated UConn this weekend. Once again, that destroyed my bracket as well. And then a bunch of 11 seeds prevailed. 11 seed Notre Dame upset 6 seed Alabama in the first round. Then they fell to Texas Tech. But then 11 seed Iowa State upset 6 seed LSU. And then 3 seed Wisconsin. So now 11 seed Iowa State will face 10 seed Miami of Florida, University of Miami of Florida. And University of Miami of Florida also had multiple upsets leading up to this moment. Guys, could anyone have predicted this for the Sweet 16, that this many 11 and 10 seeds would be 2 wins away from the Final Four?
Absolutely not. I didn't see it coming.
I mean, I saw one of them coming, but I mean, even then, I didn't. You didn't finish the paragraph, Gabby.
I know. I was trying to break it up a little bit just because I was talking so much. But then moving on from there, Miami obviously upset 2-seed Auburn. And then everybody's favorite on this show, specifically Nicole's, Michigan Wolverines, upset 6-seed Colorado State and then 3-seed Tennessee to get their 5th straight Sweet 16 appearance. It's a Big Ten record, y'all. Nicole, break it down for us.
Even in our worst year, we are still better than everyone else. We are still carrying.
Oh my gosh.
Stop talking. I'm done.
You know I have to push Grace, I'm sorry. You know I have to push the Michigan
ahead,
propaganda. But because it is propaganda. You shouldn't be in the tournament. Yeah, what about now? I'm just kidding. But seriously, like, I didn't even have him beating Tennessee, I'll be honest.
Neither did I.
Well, a lot of people didn't have my UCLA Bruins in the tournament last year, and they see where that got them.
Yeah, so. But this team hasn't strung 2 straight wins together since, like, November, which is, like, the start of the season.
And your coach is out there punching people in the face.
It was a slap. I'm not going to let you push misinformation on this show, Grace.
Excuse me. It was an open hand.
It was an open hand.
Open hand, closed hand. The hand should not...
He's hitting people in the face.
I stand with Jawan Howard.
Across the body.
Yeah, you're
aimed
showing
at another person.
You're showing a fist. It was this.
Nobody can see what I'm showing right now except you.
It was an open hand, is what I'm saying. It was I stand with Jawan Howard. Is there a difference between
open hand and closed hand?
A hit's a hit.
Thank you.
Okay, well, anyways, I stand with Jawan Howard.
I will say, what he did this past weekend was really, really nice.
That was nice, yeah.
Consoling the Tennessee player. He was someone who Jawan had recruited to Michigan, and he was essentially a runner-up, so they knew each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was, like, for a team that couldn't string together 2 straight wins, which I'll say was with Devontae Jones on the court. Devontae Jones missed the first game, and then he was back. So, will we win against Nova?
I'm here to push some Nova propaganda. No, you won't.
Heck no, they won't. Let's go, Nova.
Let's go.
The pattern says no, but here's the thing. I will much rather accept a loss in the season ending to Nova than I would Ohio State. So thank you, Nova, for that. That I can accept the season ending to Nova. But I also want to push a little more Michigan propaganda real quick before we move on. Women's gymnastics won the Big Ten this past weekend. Men's hockey won the Big Ten this weekend. The women's team is on fire after hosting the first and second round at Chrysler. Michigan's an everything school.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats, I guess, as you're 6 weeks away from getting a degree from Arizona State University, but okay.
Our athletics are great. We're doing great.
Okay, but Grace, I just
want to highlight the Michigan weekend as a whole.
I should break down for you. I am a huge Nova fan because so I grew up in Southern California, but my older sister has a friend, like a family friend of ours. She went to Villanova for college.
Okay.
And she was on the cheer squad at Villanova.
Oh, okay.
During the 2016 Final Four, when Villanova was competing in that Final Four, Our family friend, her name was Kate. Kate's mother, Christine, was fighting breast cancer.
Oh,
and so Christine, huge Villanova fan. Christine and her husband, huge Villanova fans. So they invite my mom and I over to their house for like a watch party. We watch them in the semifinals and they win. Christine gets on the phone with her doctor like 5 minutes after the win and says, I have to go. I have to go to the national championship game. Mind you, she's fighting an aggressive form of breast cancer, and she had just gotten done with another round of chemo. So the idea of her traveling should have been impossible, right?
It's Nova, man.
But it's
Fans
Nova.
Are crazy.
So Christine and her husband jump on an airplane, go to, I think the Final Four, that year was in San Antonio. They go to San Antonio, Texas, or something like that.
Something like that,
yeah.
I think.
They watch the Final Four. Their daughter, Kate, meets Joe Biden that year as well, because he was at the Final Four. And so they watch their daughter cheer in the Final Four, celebrate the victory. Christine's alive and well today, no more cancer, nothing like that.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
But that's one of my heart stories with like Villanova basketball. I met the 2016 championship team too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, see, I've never particularly been a Nova fan per se. I support them because they're from, I guess, the Philly area. I have multiple cousins, multiple families of mine that live in Villanova, so they live right there. But yeah, I just remember, oh my gosh, yeah, that 2016 championship. I was in 7th grade, I think.
Oh god, you were in no, you had to have been in. Oh yeah, you would have been in 7th grade because we would have been sophomores.
Yeah, I was in 7th grade, and I just remember because my mom went to LaSalle. LaSalle is a smaller school in Philly, but it's one of the big 5 in Philly or whatever. Villanova's one of them.
I'm reading a book right now all about the big 5 schools.
Really?
I learned about it from this book
Mom,
that I'm
if you're
reading.
Listening, she's heard of LaSalle. This is amazing. But yeah, so, oh my gosh, that day of the parade that they had in Philly, most of my classmates were at that parade.
Oh, that's incredible.
I was sitting in class.
What?
My mom went to LaSalle. I was sitting in class.
There were
like 5 of us there that day.
But I met Ryan Archidiakonou and like Jalen Brunson and all of them, all the ones who were part of that buzzer-beating win, because they went to Loyola Marymount University for a night in Los Angeles, and we got to go to LMU to watch them practice. They were like on their way to a tournament in Hawaii, and they were stopping off at LMU to like talk to fans and meet everyone. So I was with the family, like the family that went to the national championship game. They like brought me and my mom, and I was on like absolute cloud 9. It was like actually during a really hard time in my life too. So
that's great.
Meeting them, like meeting Daniel Oshefu and Ryan Archidiakonou is something I still like hold on to like nobody's business. 7 years later.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you, man. I mean, Philly still loves Archidiakonou.
Oh, Arch.
Archie, yeah.
Moving on from that little tangent, though, we'll go on to the women's side. We'll see how Nova does this weekend as well. On the women's side, well, Villanova women's basketball had a pretty major upset this weekend, folks.
I did not pick that one, I will admit.
No, I didn't either. They beat Shaylee Gonzalez and BYU in the second round. Wow. Destroyed my bracket, let's just say that. 10-seed Creighton also beat 7-seed Colorado. And then they beat 2-seed Iowa in Iowa City. Caitlin Clark, may I add, of Iowa, was destroyed by Creighton. Nicole, your thoughts on that Iowa basketball game?
Yeah, I had Iowa winning the Natty, my other bracket.
Oh,
so,
God.
And them coming out of that region over South Carolina. So, the Greensboro region. So, yeah, that one stung. But, I mean, what an atmosphere. Like, I think they said it sold out for both games.
It did, yeah, Iowa.
Just a hell of an atmosphere, which is so cool to see. But, man, I mean, Creighton earned those 2 wins. They out-rebounded Colorado, and then they just outplayed Iowa. Like, this is a team who plays Iowa State next. That seemed to be feared. I could see them beating Iowa State. I could really see that happening. So, yeah, I mean, just what a freaking game. Speaking of the Kentucky restraining order against New Jersey, 11 seed Princeton upsetted the SEC champion and red-hot Kentucky Wildcats, the 6th seed, which is kind of funny. I'm sorry. After they won the SEC and then lose in the first round, that's tough.
That is tough. Yeah, literally. There's going to be a restraining order between those two states. And then 12-seed FGCU upsets 5-seed Virginia Tech, and 6-seed Ohio State upsets 3-seed LSU. Take that, Kim Mulkey. Y'all, to the people who commented, oh, the women's tournament's not as interesting because there's not as many upsets, anybody got a few things to say to that?
Creighton. That is all I have to say. Creighton was on a ridiculous run.
I don't know if you guys realize this, but Creighton actually had a gal on their team. She made the game winner in that basketball game.
Right.
I don't remember her name.
But she played at Iowa.
She played at Iowa. She transferred away from Iowa.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, she transferred away from Iowa to play at Creighton to get more playing time, and I'm blanking on her name right now, which I feel really bad about. Creighton...
But it just, to do it in that atmosphere in front of a sold-out crowd against your former team and knock them out of the tournament, I can't get over that atmosphere. That atmosphere was amazing.
Lauren Jensen.
She's
a sophomore.
God, she's only a sophomore. That's insane. So a lot of really crazy upsets. FGCU.
I had them going so far. I had them going way further than they probably should have.
I gave Tia Reed so much crap last week for FGCU beating.
She had him too? She knows ball.
Oh yeah, Tia and I were like on the same page with that. We were talking about the bottom of the sixth. Yeah,
I wasn't on the same page as her. I had Colorado. I had Colorado winning, and I had a debate with her on this show last week about how basically telling her you're an idiot for picking FGCU, and now who am I?
Who's the idiot now?
Yeah. Exactly. I'm kind of glad Kim Mulkey's out of the tournament too. Freaking LSU.
Man, I had 14 seed Jackson State, I believe.
The HBCU Jackson State?
I had the HBCU Jackson State going, I believe, to the Sweet 16 because I did not want LSU to win.
I respect that.
That is why.
I respect that entirely. Are you kidding me? Guys, there's
anything for the anti-Kim Mulkey train.
Yeah, literally.
I don't choose. It is unfortunate she's at LSU because I think LSU is a more likable school and program than Baylor is, so that's like really unfortunate, but like I just don't like her. I don't think many people do, to be honest. But Gabby, I want you to read off this as we finish off our college basketball, this last part. The thoughts on who?
The thoughts on the Stanford Cardinal.
No. What was before that?
Stanny Stanford?
Yes, thank you.
Stanny Stanford.
The Stanny Stanford Cardinals? Yeah. So, Stanford is on spring break this week. They're on a quarter system up there in Palo Alto, so that means they took final exams last week. The girls posted today that they only have 1 day of spring break. Guys, this means that they took their finals during the round of 32, round of 64 week in the NCAA tournament.
That is incredibly impressive.
Thoughts on the fact that not only do they only get 1 day of spring break, but they were taking their finals during the first round of the NCAA tournament.
The NCAA's got to be so happy about that, putting the student athlete. You know how much propaganda they can push with that? Let's not give it to them.
These people that got into Stanford, not only athletically,
Exactly.
but also academically. These Stanford people are excelling, so therefore the rest of you should too.
Exactly. It's still amazing, don't get me wrong, Gabby. It is still, that is a very hard thing to do. All I'm saying is that it's just funny because they're really putting the student and student athlete, which the NCAA would be so happy to hear.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like this.
No, it shouldn't.
Like, I was talking to a friend about this earlier. I said, they get 1 day of spring break. I said they spent finals week probably taking their exams from a hotel room in between NCAA tournament games. Or they were taking them a week early, which, let's be real, if anybody's ever been on the quarter system, it's hard. Oh, and then mix in the fact that you have the West Coast Ivy League school where you're doing the quarter system. So good luck with that. Right? More than likely, Haley Jones or Cameron Brink or Lexi and Lacey Hall, they probably should have been in biology class when they were playing in the round of 64. But, the student and student athlete, folks.
Go Stanford.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to float that out there because I thought it was interesting. I don't think it's going to get talked about much, the fact that these girls are literally sacrificing everything right now to try and win another national championship. How's everybody's brackets doing?
My men's is actually doing great. I don't know how, because I have multiple Final Four teams that have lost, but somehow I'm at 95% for the men's. I don't know how. My women's is not doing well, though. My women's is down at 28%.
Ooh.
My men's, though, I don't know what the heck happened, because like I said, I'm not the most avid watcher of men's basketball. So I just went with the stats. The stats don't fail.
Yeah, numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie.
Yeah, the two brackets I had, one was Iowa winning, one was Michigan winning it all.
Mm-hmm.
And funny enough, the one I have Michigan winning it all is at 98%.
Does that mean you got 98% of the picks correct? Is that what that means?
Yes.
God, there's no way.
Or something like that. But, I mean, I assume. What else would it mean? But,
I don't know. I've always wanted to ask, but been too afraid to, so I waited till I was live on air.
There's a little information button. Let me see. So the percentage is the percentage of your performance graded against all other entrants in the game.
So I'm in the 98th percentile.
Yes, you're in the 98th percentile.
Hey! Oh, God.
So I was saying, there's no way I got 95%.
Yeah, I was going to say 98% right. That's what? 2 wrong.
Yeah.
Out of 32,
there's no way. But, so that one's not doing half bad. We don't have to talk about the men's.
What are you at?
Like 30%. Gabby.
Grace, what did you say you were at?
For men's, I'm at 95%.
What about for men's, I'm at about 37%. For women's, I'm at 28%.
Okay, so you're also, okay.
Yeah, I'm not doing too hot. But both my teams I have in the national championship game are still in it. For men's, at least. So, same with... No, not for women's. I had Iowa in the national title game, and they're not in it anymore. It's not going very well, okay, people? It's not going very well.
You know what is going well? The Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh,
yes. Yes, ma'am.
Grace, these next few segments are purely for yours to shine. Push the Sixers agenda, whatever agenda you have to do. It is your time. Let's start, though, with the James Harden, Ben Simmons trade. The floor is yours.
Oh, boy. Oh, you give me too much power. Okay, so before we start this, I'd like to preface that Philadelphia supported Ben Simmons. We loved Ben Simmons. When other people were saying, this man is trash, we defended him, when really we shouldn't have been defending him, but we defended him because he was one of ours, and he worked for us. And he did his best for us or whatever, even though he wasn't doing his best. But we had hope that he was doing his best. And then he gave up on us. Then that series last year with the Hawks happened. That man, I believe, oh my gosh, I have his fourth quarter stats throughout that playoff series in my head. That man just did not take shots. I have in my head him passing up on that dunk with, I believe, 1.5 minutes or 3 minutes, something like that, left to go in Game 7, and we were down 2 maybe, and he passed up on a wide open dunk. That man gave up on us. We didn't give up on him. He gave up on us. Therefore, I'm just glad he's not my problem anymore, because that man held up our season for half of a year. And for what? Now he's not even playing with the Nets. Now he's found his way to worm his way out of playing for the Nets. He's got a herniated disc or whatever. How? You haven't played basketball in a year. How did you herniate your disc?
A year. That's kind of forgiving. A year.
Yeah. He hasn't played good basketball in longer than that. But how did you herniate a disc? You weren't playing. You weren't doing anything. Anyway, I just don't understand his entire psyche. I'm sure he actually does have some mental stuff going on. I'm not discounting that whatsoever as someone who struggles with mental stuff myself. I understand that. However, you can't say that we didn't support you, man. You can't say that. Because I know when he came back for his first game, which the Nets won by a very large amount, I don't want to talk about it. The reception Simmons received was very vocal. However, there were rumors that Simmons' attorneys were going to try and use the footage of that reception to get back the money that the Sixers fined him for not playing. Like, they were going to use that as evidence that Philadelphia hated him and it was a non-supportive work environment. When there are so many clips of Simmons... Well, there's actually not so many. There's a couple clips of Simmons shooting a three-pointer and actually making it, and the crowd going absolutely insane. So, listen, we supported him. However, he's not our problem anymore. And we have James Harden. And James Harden, I have it pulled up right here. James Harden is averaging 22 points per game, 10.5 assists, and 7 rebounds. He's played 11 games for the Sixers. He's averaging a double-double. He's got, I believe, multiple triple-doubles. So Harden is producing. And I think he is exactly what we needed next to Embiid to take us to that next level.
So you're pretty confident.
I am pretty confident. And although, it is the Sixers, they could implode at any given time, but I have hope.
Well, I after you said the Simmons wide open dunk, because I don't follow NBA super close, not nearly as closely as you two do. Mm-hmm. And oh my god. I don't know if you saw my reaction, but I was like...
I'm guessing that's why you muted your mic, too.
Oh, my God. Wide open.
I was just...
Nobody there. He saw Trae Young. He got spooked.
That's literally what happened.
He saw 6 foot, 180-pound kid.
Gremlin-looking kid right there.
That's literally what happened. He motioned to go up, saw Trae Young like, oh, shoot. And then,
then passed it. Did you hear? I mean, you probably... I don't know if you've got audio over there, but it was in Philly, and the crowd absolutely...
Booed?
Oh, they went crazy. It wasn't even a boo. They saw that, and the immediate reaction was, oh, what the heck? They went... Yeah.
It's just a collective
It's fury.
Oh!
It's fury. I mean...
That's amazing.
I remember I didn't go to any of those games. I've never been to a Sixers game in Philly, but I was down at the Jersey Shore, and I remember we blew so many leads during that series. I just remember I was on the boardwalk of Wildwood, New Jersey, throwing an absolute tantrum because the Sixers lost that series. It made no sense. It was awful.
If I saw that live, a little piece of me would have died if that was my team. So
100%.
I can imagine.
He's just so frustrating.
Yeah.
He's so frustrating, but he's not my problem anymore.
Grace, you have one issue in Philly, obviously. Ben Simmons, he was an absolute head case for the first 6 months of the year. He's gone.
Yes.
But as he leaves, obviously James Harden arrives. You got another person, though, who arrived this past summer. Kate Scott became the voice of the Philadelphia 76ers. What was your reaction when you saw that news?
My reaction when I saw that news, I was thrilled. I mean, obviously she's following a very beloved announcer. I mean, the Sixers, he's not dead or anything. He just retired. Mark Zumoff, he just retired. He's been the voice of the Sixers for years, decades probably. So it was a transition. It was a bit for Philly to get used to, but I think the people that know what they're talking about absolutely love her. And I absolutely love her. I think her calls are amazing. She brings so much energy to it. It's ridiculous. I think the game is just more engaging when she's calling it.
You mentioned that it's more engaging when she's calling it. Has it inspired you at all, seeing someone who looks like you, someone who sounds like you as a young woman in this industry? Has it inspired you at all to want to pursue play-by-play or pursue what she does for a living?
I would say it has, yeah. I mean, seeing her in this position, seeing her succeeding by all accounts, people are warming up to her. They're finding it a lot easier than it had been. Like, she's easing them along on this transition out of this person who they've been used to for years. I would say it has been inspiring because seeing her succeed and love what she does and know what she's talking about and be absolutely unashamed of that. Like, she knows what she's doing and she's not afraid to tell you that. So, yeah, I would say that's pretty inspiring. And play-by-play isn't my ultimate career goal, but I will say that her calling these games has kind of pushed me to take a closer look at it, yeah.
Nicole, what is it they say? See her, be her?
I believe that's correct, yes.
Yeah. She's very inspiring, no. I really do appreciate her and all that she's doing.
Well, Grace is seeing it. I'm definitely seeing it. Nicole's definitely seeing it. Hopefully we'll be it one day, folks.
Yeah.
Yes. One last question on the Sixers.
Yeah.
Grace, I'm giving you the floor one more time with the Sixers. Why should the NBA fear the Sixers?
I would look no further than last night's game. The Sixers beat the Miami Heat, the number 1 seed in the East. And they did it without Joel Embiid. They did it without James Harden. Both of them were sitting. Tyrese Maxey. I cannot say enough good things about Tyrese Maxey. This kid it's his second year out of Kentucky. He's an absolute superstar. He went off last night, I believe, had 28 points. When we needed him the most, he showed up. And he has consistently been doing that when Embiid has an off game, which doesn't happen often, or when Harden has an off game. Maxey has been showing up and showing out. And I believe, Tyrese Maxey, you should fear the Sixers because of Tyrese Maxey, because even if they don't have Embiid firing on all cylinders, even if Harden isn't firing on all cylinders, we have this up-and-coming superstar right behind them.
All right. That settles that. As a Bulls fan, based on what I've seen, I do fear the Sixers.
Yeah, we did pretty well against you guys. We did pretty well.
Yeah, we have this thing where we can't beat Philly. It hasn't happened in 3 years, so
actually just basketball or in other sports as well.
I was focusing on basketball because it's been 3 years since we beat the Sixers, but it does apply to other sports too.
You guys also have a superstar that tends to disappear come the postseason.
Which one?
The fact that you have to ask that.
DeMar.
Oh my god.
Yeah, DeMar
I just
DeRozan.
got his jersey. I love him. I don't care. He can, in my eyes, he can do no wrong. I'm so happy with him.
Okay, when we're in the second round of the playoffs and the Bulls are facing against the Sixers, and the Sixers go up like 3-0 because DeRozan can't guard anyone and can't produce offensively in the limelight, you're going to come back on this show and we're going to replay that clip, okay?
Well, and I'm going to say, listen, the Sixers may lose because Doc Rivers is our coach. We'll find a way.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fair.
Do you think Rivers is overrated?
I would say so, honestly. Like, I don't know how he made it into that top 15 list, coaches of all time. I don't know how he made it in. Because some of his decisions are absolutely infuriating. His rotations make no sense. Ugh. I would say, honestly, sometimes the team succeeds in spite of him.
Ooh. All right, then.
Yeah. I mean, the first half of the season, Embiid was basically dragging the team to victory every single night.
I do think that's some Clippers fans will agree with you there.
Yeah.
His time in Boston was a little bit better, but I think you got Clippers fans with you there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, well, when we're in the second round and the Bulls are facing the Sixers, we won't be in school, so we won't be in the studio doing this.
Oh, you're right.
But
Jeez,
Twitter space.
Literally, we're going to
give it to me on
crap
Twitter
out of the entire playoffs.
And why are we putting this just on DeRozan? Listen, all 5 guys have not even played with each other yet. Like, at all this season. Like, Caruso's been out.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's focus on Philly sports. I can complain about the Bulls another time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Moving on from basketball to football, the Eagles' offseason moves, Grace. Jalen Hurts. What thoughts? You have the floor.
In my opinion, honestly, Howie Roseman as our GM, he hasn't been doing much. He signed Hassan Reddick, which was a big signing. That was on the first day of free agency. And then went radio silent. He signed Hassan Reddick, which filled a big need at linebacker. I don't know if he's going to play linebacker on the defensive line, but that did fill a huge need. And then he kind of went radio silent. He did sign, I believe, a wide receiver, Zach Pascal, yesterday.
From Indy.
Yeah. Zach Pascal is our head coach, Nick Sirianni. Apparently that's his guy. So that's probably why. But he hasn't really done much. However, in the case of Jalen Hurts versus Deshaun Watson, less is more. Because I don't want that man anywhere near my team.
Agreed.
I don't want Watson anywhere near the organization. And I think Hurts showed potential last year. I think we give him one more year to test the waters, see how he does, see if he improves. And if he does, fine. And if he doesn't, then I think in the offseason we can start looking for another quarterback. But I think he deserves one more year based on the last season.
What do you think the Eagles should focus on in the draft?
There's so many things. I think even though we signed Hassan Reddick, I'd like another linebacker because the Eagles have 3 first-round picks this year. We have 15, 16, and 19. One of those is from the Carson Wentz trade because that man got traded from the Colts before we even used the pick we got for him, which I think is hilarious. So we have 3 first-rounders this year. I think one of them should be used on a wide receiver. I think Howie's kind of telegraphing that because he didn't go out and sign a big free agent wide receiver. I think he's going to pick one in the first. And more than likely, one of our first rounds is going to get traded to, kind of create more picks later on. But if we do use all 3, I would love to get someone on the defensive line as well because we have a good defensive line, but they're aging. Like, we have Fletcher Cox, we have Brandon Graham, both really good. Brandon Graham was drafted in 2010.
I was going to say they're up there in age.
Yeah. Graham was drafted 2010, Cox was drafted 2012. So I would say my 3 biggest needs are linebacker, wide receiver, and defensive line.
Okay. And what about Nick Sirianni? I've had, this, I don't want to say love-hate, but, this back and forth of, his press conferences are kind of tough to watch, but then watching them as he gets them to the postseason, it's maybe he was on to something. He's just kind of... Yeah. Is quirky the best word? What are your thoughts on him?
I like Sirianni, I'm not going to lie. I think last year was his first year as a head coach ever, and he got us to the playoffs. We were not supposed to be anywhere near the playoffs. We started off last season 2-5. Part of that was because Sirianni would not run the ball. That was one of the most frustrating things I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, and Philly sports fans, or Eagles fans, I should say, bullied him into running the ball.
Oh,
and
we
worked.
did. We literally did. We started chanting at him in home games, run the ball, and it worked. And second half of the season, we became, I believe, the number 1 rushing offense in the league. Our running back by committees, they were killing it. And So I think Sirianni, he's shown at least from that he's willing to learn from his mistakes, which is great. I will give him that. I'm not 100% sold on his... I'm not 100% sold on him. He's got a little bit to work on with the press conferences, but I mean, that's understandable. If I was doing that kind of stuff for the first time, I'd be a little nervous too. I do like the stuff he does at drafts though, because he gets a lot of flack for this, but last year before the draft, he played rock, paper, scissors with prospects to gauge their competitiveness or whatever, and this year he had them shooting mini free throws on a little, like, kid basketball hoop. He had them shooting little mini free throws to gauge, like, how competitive they were. So I do like that he's kind of a player's coach and that he looks at the player as a whole, not just what their stats, what their performance is, but them as a person, and he takes that into account as well. That's also part of the reason why I did not think we were going to get Deshaun Watson, because...
He does seem like a genuinely good guy. Like
Sirianni?
Sirianni
or Watson?
Sirianni, sorry. I should have specified. Sirianni does seem like a genuinely good guy who means well, even if he just doesn't have it all figured out yet.
Yeah, and I think last season was very encouraging, the way they turned it around towards the end, and I fully believe that they are going to get a better record than that this year, if only by a couple games. I do think we are building towards a really, really bright future.
Well, and it feels like next season, with the Cowboys missing out on so many signings.
Oh, yeah.
That
the
division is... Randy Gregory just being like, LOL, JK.
He swerved them. It was hilarious.
It feels like it is the... you can almost say this about every year, because no one wins the division twice in a row, since 2000.
Yeah.
It does feel like the Eagles' division to lose. I don't think the Giants are of any threat. No. I think Washington is... They haven't really signed anyone that's inspiring, other than you'll get to see Carson Wentz twice.
That will be exciting.
And I mean, the Cowboys have Dak, but it does feel like this is a division the Eagles could take.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think the Cowboys, they lost a lot of people in free agency. They lost a lot of their pieces. And honestly, if the Cowboys were to win any year, it would have been this past one. It really would have been this past one. But the Cowboys are going to cowboy, and they certainly did. But, yeah, I really do think it's the Eagles' division to lose, because Washington's not intimidating at all. The Giants are the Giants. I believe they haven't won the division since, 2011. At this point, it's been 10 years.
Did they even win it in 2011? I know they won the Super Bowl.
They won the
that year,
Super Bowl
but they were a 10-6. Maybe they did. It is the NFC East. I'm sorry, but they were 10-6.
No, you're right. And so nobody's repeated the division for I think since 2004, because 2004 was the year we went to the Super Bowl. Yeah, that was the last time we repeated in 2003, 2004. And to put that in perspective, I was born in December 2002, and no one has repeated in the division since 2004.
You were born in 2002?
That feels illegal.
Yeah, that literally feels illegal.
I was born,
She was born after 9/11.
Yes, I was.
Oh, significantly after. You were almost born in 2003?
Yeah, I'm December 26th, 2002, so I'm a week.
You're December 26th?
Yes.
Okay, my late father is a December 26th baby. Your day
Really?
after. Yeah.
Oh my god. That's awesome. Yeah, I've never met another December 26th person. I keep hearing, but I've never met another.
What's it like to be born day after Christmas?
It's not bad, honestly. If my mom's listening, Mom, I love you. But my parents make a point to separate my birthday from Christmas. They're two very separate entities. I get presents for both of them. So, for my parents and my family anyway. My friends, I forgive them. They're broke college students. They can't get me presents for both at the same time. I respect it. But yeah, December 26th, it's not the worst birthday to have, honestly, because if you don't get something on Christmas, there's always tomorrow.
That's a great way to look at it.
Oh my god, that's hysterical. Yeah, when I was growing up, my dad, we would have a birthday party for him every year, and we'd invite over all of our family friends, and his last birthday, actually, before he passed away, we had a huge party for him. And it was maybe it was his second to last birthday, I don't remember, but it was his 50th birthday, and we had a huge party every year. He didn't like gifts, he wanted a party. He wanted,
That's awesome.
and like every year on his birthday, day after Christmas, 6 a.m., he would wake up and go to his favorite breakfast burrito spot with our family friend.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. He had funny little traditions for his day after Christmas birthday.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, it's a little unconventional, but that's what makes it cool.
Yeah.
And it's a fun little trivia question for people.
There you go.
Like, what's my birthday? Do you know it? It's memorable.
You shouldn't forget.
I know, I'm never going to forget now.
Now I remember.
Yeah, finally met someone who has the same birthday as my dad, too. I never met anyone who had the same birthday.
Really?
Before.
Yeah, no, I've never met anyone with my birthday.
Yeah, I have a friend whose birthday is the 27th.
I have met a lot of 27th people,
Interesting.
though. They're everywhere.
It feels like the end of May people are also everywhere, too.
Oh, yeah. May
I
and then do September.
Yeah.
You gotta do the math. You gotta figure out what time of year it was. You gotta do the math.
We're okay, all right. We don't have
Oh,
time for that now.
No, we don't.
People.
Let's move on to baseball. Let's move on to some Philly fanatic. Your Phillies signed 2 of my guys, and I'm kind of upset.
We'll take care of them for you.
Please do. Nick Castellanos signs a $100 million 5-year contract, and Kyle Schwarber also signed with the Phillies. I couldn't find the exact details on that.
I think it's 4 years.
Okay. What are your thoughts on both those signings and any other signings that I missed, and just expectations for the season?
Yeah, mostly those are the 2 main ones, I believe. I will admit I'm not the biggest baseball fan, but I can talk about this. So, basically, the vibe for the season is no defense, all dingers. We can hit. We can hit with the best of. Now we have Castellanos and Schwarber. We have no defense. We have no outfield.
You really don't.
But we have Castellanos, Schwarber, and Harper. And that's fine.
That's
you
fun.
know, I'd rather lose games 10-9 than lose them like 6-2.
Yeah.
That is really what I would rather do, because at least it'll be interesting. And the Phillies, we have a very batter friendly ballpark, Citizens Bank. It's one of the smaller fields. So I am very excited to hopefully go to a couple games this summer and see that group of people in action, because the lineup cannot play defense, but my God, can they play offense? And I think it's going to be exciting.
That's more fun to watch anyway.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Well, your team has one of the more batter-friendly parks. The hat I'm currently wearing has one of the least friendly. Miggy would have hit 500 like a year ago.
Yeah.
If it were any other park, which is kind of funny. But even though I'm a Cubs fan first, Tigers come second. But
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, me too. Because the Cubs love to do this thing where they pretend they're cheap, but then they're like, oh, we might buy Chelsea FC. Like, what?
What?
Excuse me? And they lowballed Wilson Contreras, too. I'm sorry, I'm on a tangent right now, but Wilson Contreras wanted 10 mil, like 10.5 mil, and the Cubs are like, we'll give you 9.
Oh. You're a baseball team.
Exactly, that's not a big
deal.
Anyways, what do you think of the Castellanos signing, like the 100 mil 5-year, like that specific?
The Castellanos signing is the first time the Phillies have gone over the luxury tax.
Okay.
So it really proves that we're kind of all in to win it now. I don't know how successful that's going to be with, the freaking LA Dodgers out there. But
yeah, we all hate the Dodgers.
Yeah.
So
I don't hate them, but I don't mind them.
I prefer them.
I prefer the Angels.
Yeah.
No, I like Shohei better.
Good
I
answer.
do love Shohei.
Love him.
Yeah, no, I like that signing, honestly. I think it is dedication. It's the owner finally saying, all right, fine, I will go over it. Because, our team last year was god-awful. They were so frustrating to watch. Like, they might... Harper was the MVP, and I adore him. I adore him with everything in me. I respect him. I appreciate him so much. But the rest of that team... No good. Bullpen was awful. Everything was awful. So,
Yeah.
I'm very excited for this upcoming season, though.
Good. Yeah, and I understand the bad bullpen thing.
Yeah.
Believe me, to a T. It's not fun when you have a bad bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing regarding Philly sports, and then anything else you want to say as well. Obviously we're not kicking you out after this, but
Yeah. Time to leave the studio.
Bye, guys.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out, right?
I know you said we don't have to talk about the Flyers, but there is a part of the Flyers I wanted to talk about, because I do have one other Philly friend who has graced me with the knowledge of all things Philadelphia.
Yes.
And so Nick Foles, all that jazz, like that's...
Yep.
I understand the wavelength. What are your thoughts on Gritty? Because you have a sticker of him on
Oh my god!
Yeah, I have multiple Gritty stickers on my laptop, actually. There's one up here, too.
Gritty.
I love
one
him.
of these stickers, for the listeners, I have a sticker that has a picture of Gritty, and it says the urge to destroy is also a creative urge. And then I have a Judgment Day-esque drawing of Gritty with the word judgment underneath it. So, I love Gritty. Personally, I think the way that he came into existence was so funny, where the Flyers, they released him, they introduced him, and Philly went, what is that? And then the rest of the world went, what is that? And we immediately went, back off, he's ours.
That's such a Philly thing.
Have you seen the ESPN?
Oh yeah, they did like a whole documentary on him. Yeah.
How did I miss this?
They did a whole documentary on him. It's one of my favorite pieces ESPN's ever done.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I will watch it.
Who's the guy that hosts it? Who's the hockey guy for ESPN?
God.
It's the guy with the hair.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, with the hair.
He's the one that hosts this
yeah,
ESPN 30 for 30 special on Gritty.
Oh my god. I know who you're talking about, but I can't come up with the name. Let me see.
We're gonna get IT on this.
I know.
Yeah, no, I love Gritty though. I think him and the Philly Fanatic for the Phillies, they're just the chaotic. I mean, they are the embodiment of the chaos that is like being a Philly sports fan. I mean, Gritty, you look him up, you look up, like, headlines about Gritty, and you'll see stuff like Gritty streaks across Lincoln Financial Field. Gritty, like, I mean, he's done some crazy stuff. And listen, we love him for it. The rest of the country can think he looks creepy, but we love him. I mean, my cousin for Christmas, literally from Philadelphia, she sent me a stuffed doll of Gritty.
Oh
so I have a stuffed Gritty that's about, like, a foot.
Can you bring it next week?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. I will bring my Gritty doll. He is demented, and I love him.
Please, yes. It was Barry Melrose, by the way.
Barry Melrose.
That's it.
Yeah, that name was escaping me. It's an E60 on ESPN's YouTube. I just found it, and I'm gonna like it to save for later. Mm-hmm. So
highly recommend. My favorite thing I think that they showed of Gritty was the photo of the Photoshop.
The Kim Kardashian.
Yeah. The Photoshop Kim Kardashian, and then the other thing that's kind of my favorite is like when Gritty's streaking and he like just falls over on the ice and he's like waving his jersey around.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I remember, oh my gosh, yeah, because I watched that. I did a little thing about Gritty for one of my classes because I watched that to kind of get the background on it. So Gritty was introduced via Twitter. It was just the picture. Like the caption I think was "It Me" or something, and everybody was going, "What is that?" And then the Pittsburgh Penguins account responded something. I don't know. They're like, what is that? So they were laughing at something. And the Gritty account responds to the Penguins account with, sleep with one eye open tonight, bird. So Gritty was introduced to us via death threats and Kim Kardashian Photoshops.
Nothing more Philly than that.
Because the Kim Kardashian Photoshop was the night he got introduced. Like, everybody hated him for like 20 minutes, and then he sent out that death threat, and the Kim Kardashian picture got uploaded, and we're like, all right, that's it, we love him. And now he's a cultural icon.
When it comes to sport mascots, Twitter, or TikTok, I should say, it's like him and the Colts mascot.
Yeah, the Colts mascot
like
is killing
a huge gap in everyone else.
Yeah. The Pittsburgh Penguins just said, "LOL, okay," and then Gritty responded with a gif of Gritty coming up and staring with those little beady eyes of his, and it just says, "Sleep with one eye open tonight, bird."
Yeah, I love that man. I love who's ever in that.
we love him. We love him.
Philly having the two of the best sports mascots, like across the four major sports, is unfair between the Philly Fanatic and Gritty, but it also makes sense.
It makes so much sense. I mean, what the heck is the Philly Fanatic? No one knows, but we love him.
But he's fun.
Yeah,
we love him for it, right?
He has a little tongue that like goes out and stuff. It's like a little streamer thing. It's fun. We love him. He dances on the dugout. It's great. Oh yeah, real quick before we move on from the Flyers, Claude Giroux just got traded away. That man, was a Flyer, I believe, since 2005, which, for context, is before I was a coherent human being. So
stop talking.
I remember
2005.
I love you, Claude Giroux.
I remember 2005. I know.
2005. I was 2 years old for most of that year.
That's so weird. I can't believe we let someone born past the year 2000 on our show, Gabby. That's an oversight on our part.
Do you guys know when Tia Reid was born?
Yeah, Tia was born
Tia's
in
a
03.
2004 baby.
Oh, that's
04,
She's
yeah.
a 2004 baby.
She turned 18 in, like, what month? December?
January.
A month.
Yeah, we
5
made so
seconds
many
ago.
jokes about her being a
That
minor.
is
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
nuts.
You and Tia are, like, an hour old. We get it. Like,
My mind
I'm
is
a baby. I'm a child.
It's unbelievable. Okay, quick things before we wrap up with future fantasies and our last conversation. This is breaking news. World number 1 Ash Barty announces her retirement from tennis.
Oh.
She won the Australian Open in January, adding to her 2021 Wimbledon title and 2019 French Open title. She said, and I quote, "I've given absolutely everything I can to this beautiful sport of tennis. I think it's important that I get to enjoy the next phase of my life as Ash Barty, the person, not Ash Barty, the athlete." I am really sad.
Yeah.
I love her. One of the most likable athletes there is. I just wish her the best in retirement. That's all I can say. It's just, I'm going to miss not watching her play tennis anymore, though. Yeah, that's unfortunate. To our last little conversation, the NCAA Women's Swimming Championship for Division I happened this past week, which you might have heard about. But there's probably a lot you didn't hear about because you only focused on one thing: save women's sports my butt. Anyways, sorry.
no, you're right, though.
Here's some record breakers that happened. Kate Douglas, have a day. She swam the fastest 50-yard freestyle twice in prelims and finals. She won finals with a time of 20.84. Yeah, that's fast. She also took down Lily King's 200 breaststroke NCAA record with a 2:02.19 and broke the American record in the 100-yard butterfly with a 49.04.
She had herself a weekend.
Yes, she had a very good day.
Yeah,
a very good weekend.
Wow.
In the 100 backstroke, Catherine Burkhoff became the first woman to break the 49-second barrier with a 48.74, obviously a record. And Gretchen Walsh, Virginia, had a weekend, really. She's from Virginia. She swam the second fastest time in history with a 49 flat. That's 49.00. In the 200 IM, also Virginia, Alex Walsh swam the fastest women's 200 IM in history with a 150.08. Just one of the fastest women's swimming championships ever. Virginia capped it off with back-to-back NCAA champions. As back-to-back NCAA champions, and their 400 medley relay team of Gretchen Walsh, Alexis Wagner, Alex Walsh, and Kate Douglas tied their own NCAA record in 3:22.24.
Jesus, that's
My
so
God.
fast.
There was a lot of fast swimming last weekend. So, if you're new to women's swimming, welcome. Pay attention to all of us, please. Thank you. But the big story that you probably heard about was Leah Thomas. Leah, University of Pennsylvania swimmer, became the first known transgender athlete to win Division I national championship in the 500 free with a time of 4:33.24. She told former Olympic swimmer Elizabeth Beisel, quote, "It means the world to be here." Thomas finished 5th in the 200-yard free with a 1:43.40 and 8th in the 100-yard free with a 48.18. Those were the only 3 events. She swam all weekend. She made finals in all of them. First in the 500, as I said, 5th in the 200 free, 8th in the 100-yard free, which concludes her college swimming career. So, I've been very exhausted with this conversation and the lack of empathy. The only quick thing I want to say before I open the floor is that Leah Thomas is fast. She's good. She's not, like, exceptionally fast.
Yeah.
And also transitioning is something none of us in the room have experience with, but is not an easy process. And all she wants to do is live her truth and swim as herself. And if you have hate, take it elsewhere. Just say you're scared of the unknown. Like, just take some time to learn, read about Leah Thomas in Sports Illustrated. That's really all I ask. And just have some empathy. I just feel so terrible for her. I wish her nothing but the best. And she had a great weekend, and she deserves to celebrate it like anyone else. And deserves to be celebrated like anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, she's a national champion.
Pretty much sums it up. She's a national champion that deserves to swim in, a body that she believes she should have been in from the get-go, right? To the people who are saying save women's sports, I'm sorry, where were you 50 years ago, to quote Nicole Pinter pre-show? Where have you been for the last 50 years? All of a sudden, you're demanding that we save women's sports? Where were you a year ago when the NCAA decided to completely swindle women's basketball? Where were you 10 years ago when, the WNBA was almost on its last legs at 15 years old? Where were you 50 years ago when Ann Myers Drysdale was trying to become a professional basketball player, but you all looked at her like she was a joke? Where were you?
It's not really about women's sports, is it now?
Seems like it.
Yeah, seems as such. Bigger conversation there, folks. History's repeating itself, right? We talked about this pre-show, ladies. History's repeating itself, right? It's just like when people of color wanted to go to the same school as white people, or when conversations were being had about whether or not women were even allowed to play sports, or about whether or not men and women deserve, equal pay in the workplace. Oh, it's going to offset the balance of everything. No, it's not. It's going to make it better. It's called adapting. It's called moving forward in society. I'm over it. I'm over the traditionalist nonsense of we can't change. How dare thee. It's the end of women's sports as we know it. Stop talking.
You know how many end of women's sports there have been, and yet women's sports are still going strong?
Like, they're getting stronger.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you can't say this is going to be the end of women's sports. I mean, look, we just got... the women's NCAA tournament was just this year branded as March Madness for the first time. We've got the men's tournament actually being called Men's March Madness instead of just March Madness. You can't say that women's sports are going to end because of one woman who wants to swim. It doesn't make any sense to me. Again, bigger conversation, but it seems like if you're saying save women's sports, there's a little bit more behind it than just, that you actually care about women's sports. Because if you're saying that, you probably don't.
Nicole, your final thoughts?
I couldn't have said it better than what you two just did, but all I'll say is just have some empathy. Please. I beg. It's like the bare minimum is to care about one another. That's like the bare minimum thing as a human. But, Gabby, do you have future fantasy?
I do. Quick? I have a quick one. Speaking of caring about someone, the person I care about the most probably on planet Earth, my beautiful mother, is 57 years old today. Happy birthday.
Oh,
happy birthday, Mona.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to the GOAT, Mona Ducharme. I don't know, Mom, if you're listening, I'm sorry I said your age. I know you probably don't want the whole world knowing that. But yeah, happy birthday to my lovely mom. My future fantasy is that one day I want to wake up and be half the person she is for someone else in the same way that she's been for me. I don't think that's ever going to happen, but I'm darn sure I'm going to try, especially if I'm able to have kids of my own one day and stuff. I'd love to be half the mother and half the woman that she is. Shout out to my mom as well. She tuned into my thesis defense yesterday when she was still at work and forced her entire high school class to watch my thesis defense virtually. So
they got out of a lesson.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, shout out to my mom for still being there for me even when she probably doesn't need to be anymore. And shout out to her on her special day. I wish I was home, Ma. I love you, and my future fantasy is I want to be you one day. I want to be you when I grow up.
Aww.
To finish off real quick, Grace, thank you for joining us. I think we already have you booked for next week and any other week you want to come back.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Bring Gritty, please.
Oh, I will. I will bring the stuffed Gritty.
Tell the people where to find you, Blaze, socials, whatever.
Okay, all right. So my Twitter account is at Grace Del Pizzo. It's just GraceDelPizzo. That's really the only social I have going as of now. You can also find me on LinkedIn if you're feeling particularly professional. It's just under my name, Grace Del Pizzo. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you again. We couldn't have appreciated this Philly special more.
Well, there you go, folks. That's going to do it for this week's The Future is Female Philly edition. For all of us in the studio, Nicole Pinter, Grace Del Pizzo, I'm Gabby Ducharme. We will see you all next week. Until then, stay happy and stay healthy.